Hello, everyone, and welcome to 3Y TV Tonight's broadcast of the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series here in the National Sim Racing Association. I'm Peter Short, and alongside me here tonight is Andre Granbush. 150 laps around the 7/8 of a mile Iowa Speedway here tonight. Andre, going to be a lot of fun. Short track racing. Sometimes this track races like a speedway. Sometimes it races like a short track. Either way, it always puts on a show.
It absolutely does. A lot of it comes down to the progressive banking. We're going to see a lot of multi-groove action, and been watching these guys practice for a while now, and it seems like everybody has their own line and their own mindset of where they want to be. So going to be a lot of action tonight. There
is definitely going to be a lot of action out there on the racetrack. There is the number 17 of Nathan Maurer in his Eclipse Photography F-150. Was oh so good 1 week ago at the Rockingham Speedway in that truck right there, running right behind the number 23, Travis White, here in the practice session at 23 on the speed charts right now, down in the 21st position. But Andre, I've been noticing out there on the racetrack, for the most part, these trucks look really sporty here tonight. I've seen a couple of them get loose up off the corner, but for the most part, I think we're in for a pretty good show here tonight with how racy these trucks look.
Yeah, they look pretty planted. I mean, like you said, we've seen a few guys get loose. You're going to have that at Iowa, especially coming out of turn 2 there. But for the most part, these trucks look like they're handling pretty well. You see him bouncing around a little bit on the track and things like that. But when he gets into the corner, look at this. Rides that higher line, kind of arcs it down to the middle. And on the steering wheel right there as we ride on board, not too aggressive. You know, he's not really turning it too much, not cranking on it. Just seems real comfortable. So as long as these guys have a hang of this vehicle, they're going to be really close all night tonight. I think the battles are going to be quite intense everywhere you look.
Well, we saw a great race 1 week ago here on 3Wide TV. If you missed that one, folks, you really missed a good show. Rockingham, one of my favorite racetracks, and these drivers were able to handle it exceptionally well. Andre, I was a bit surprised. I was expecting to see quite a few caution flags in the Simbox 150. But we only had 4 cautions for 16 laps in last week's 150-miler, and hopefully we see more of that here tonight. This racetrack, a lot flatter than the Rockingham Speedway and a little bit shorter in length, but the way that this racetrack races is very unique, just like Rockingham is unique. They're unique from one another, for sure, but they take similar talent. So I'm hoping that we will see a race with just as few cautions as we saw last week, if not less, as Iowa tends to put on a show here over the past couple of seasons in the National Sim Racing Association. The clock is clicking down, though, just under a minute left, Andre, and looking at the top of the board, a couple of familiar faces up there: Jeff Price, Nick Kessler, and Julian Tesoro. I want to highlight Tesoro, Andre. Started last week at Rockingham Speedway on the pole and then got involved in an early accident. He's looking for retribution this week.
Yeah, just a little bit of bad luck took him out of Rockingham, but we knew that he had speed and definitely had a good truck underneath of him, and now he's coming to a track that, like you said, it's a very similar skill set you're going to use here. So I think if he had a good truck last week, he's going to have it again this week. All he's got to do is kind of put the pieces together and really be there at the end. And as we have got our car sideways there on the back straightaway. But yeah, I think it's going to be about safety. You know, make sure you're not caught up in that early incident. You know, the beginning of the race is going to be the most hectic because that's when everybody is going to be scrambling for position. Just try to be aware, keep yourself in the show, and as long as this thing stays green, eventually you're going to get that separation and you can turn up that aggression. So we'll see what Tesoro can do in that 30, but it looks like qualifying is about to begin. 5 minutes to go out there and turn 2 laps. Fastest lap is going to be the one that counts. So I don't know. What do you think for qualifying, Peter? You think they're going to maybe take the outside line for the first lap, maybe the bottom for the second, just try to find what works?
I think you're going to try and run that low line on your 2 laps. You have enough grip in the tires, I think, to run down there on the bottom side of the racetrack, but you alluded to it earlier, that progressive banking that we see here at this racetrack. I think we're going to see that low line work for their actual qualifying lap time. I think Matt Cherry's kind of using that higher line to get some momentum in that truck. We'll see what the number 5 here does as he heads off towards turn number 1. He's going to stick with that middle groove, use that extra banking that's up there, Andre. Maybe get that truck wound up for lap number 2, kind of like you like you were mentioning, it seems like that those higher lines preferred here on the first lap.
And it's also the longer way around the track, so if you're trying to get heat in the tires for that second lap, running the top is definitely going to do that a little bit more effectively. So crossing the line there, you're probably going to see him dart down to the bottom here, and about middle groove, actually. He's going to work the mid line in that number 5, arc it out, and that's exactly what you want to do. You want to arc it out. You do not want to pinch the truck coming out of turn 2 at Iowa. That thing will spin out on an absolute whim. I mean, it just snaps around on you. Turn 4, largely the same, but you have more room to arc up. You can see the trial allows him to just drift up a little bit more carefully. But yeah, that was a solid lap out of the number 5, and that's the line you want to take. Do not pinch the truck, would be my advice for tonight.
Currently looking at the top 5, you're looking at your current fastest driver overall, the number 17 of Tristan Maher, as he's on pit road. Jeff Price, who was up there at the top of the charts in practice, sitting second in the number 14 Mobiles. Philip Scott currently sitting in third. Julian Tesoro, like we mentioned, our pole sitter last week at The Rock, sitting in fourth. And then Martin Plute in the number 8, sitting right now in the 5th position here, as we just have about 2.5 minutes left. Plenty of time for someone to go out there and dethrone that number 17 that we're just looking at. One of those drivers trying to do so, Patrick Morrison in the number 96, currently 16th on the board, coming around to complete lap number 2 here. And we'll see whether or not he's able to pick up some time. We'll actually drop down as a couple of drivers are adding extra lap times here, Andre.
Yeah, a few drivers getting out there, turning in their times. That put them down the board a little bit. Looks like right now the top 5 is going to be unchanging, but 20 trucks have posted a lap. I believe we had 23 trucks entering tonight, so almost done with qualifying. Everybody's just back out their turn as we watch that 13 machine. In the 88, there's Nick Kessler. I believe he's already qualified. He's just getting some extra practice out there. He says, I don't got to park it yet, so I'm not gonna, and that's what happens when you try to pinch the truck. I already mentioned it there, Peter, but he took a very low entry. You can't do that.
Well, the crazy thing about the number 88 of Nick Kessler was he was up there inside the top 5 on the practice charts, and not going to be able to back that up in qualifying. He's going to be starting deep in the field here tonight, currently sitting 19th out of the 21 drivers that have turned a lap time. Make that now 20th, because we're looking at the new 19th fastest driver on the racetrack. That is Justin White there in the number 2 Grinds Coffee Pouches Chevrolet, as he works his way in through turns number 3 and 4 right here on your screen. And coming around to take the checkered flag on lap number 2 of his qualifying lap time does improve up to the 14th position, so a little bit of a pickup there for Travis White. We have a couple of drivers yet to take a time. Stan Hausman, Jason Shue, Dalton Hayes, and Mikey Williams still sitting on pit lane as we speak. We'll see whether or not they elect to come out here, as we only have about 45 seconds left, Andre, so I don't think they will be able to even get a lap time in if they tried. So that is going to pretty much wrap up the qualifying here, and it will be pole for Tristan Maher. Jeff Price will be starting on the outside. Good job by the driver of the number 17 machine, who last week at the Rockingham Speedway looked mighty strong, came home in third. Mike Tellier, of course, last week got the win in the number 97 machine. Martin Plute finishing in second, who is our points leader as well. Plute will be starting from the 6th position here tonight. All right, well, before we kind of jump over into the race session, let's talk a little bit about points, Andre, because right now, Martin Plute is the points leader. Philip Scott second in points. Of course, he's going to be starting up there towards the front as well. Justin White sitting in third. Plute and Scott, both drivers with really good starting spots here tonight. Going to be interesting to see exactly how they sort things out, as it looks like we have a little bit of a warm-up session here. That's something we haven't seen so far this season. We'll see whether or not the administrators elect to skip over this warm-up session or not here, Andre. But I'm seeing a lot of good things out of Martin Plute so far this season, our Daytona winner.
Oh, absolutely, and I should remind the audience at home, Martin Plute, he brought it home second last week, but that's not how his race started. His race started on his driver's side door, nearly flipped it up and over, somehow did not get too much damage out of that ordeal, got the truck back on the track, raced his way back to the podium, and it just seems like so far this season, nothing has been able to stop Plute, because you got to think back at Daytona as well. Before he won that race, he was involved in a few incidents and just somehow kept on trucking. I mean, this guy, I don't think anything could stop him.
Yeah, Martin Plute looking very, very strong so far this season. No drivers out there on the racetrack. They might be getting a little bit of a driver's meeting right now. Just going on, just getting word as well from race administrators that they are not going to be using the warm-up, so I expect to see them advancing the session here relatively soon. But this does give us an opportunity to go check out the 3-Wide TV chat here tonight. We got RC Plains 59 in the chat saying Philip at Iowa. Good things happen when Philip is at Iowa. How you doing tonight, RC Plains? Thanks for tuning in, as always, here to the channel. I really appreciate your support. Adam Dama as well in the chat saying that he enjoys this racetrack. You know, this racetrack, Andre, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this point here tonight, in regards to progressive banking. You can't really see it from this particular angle right here in turn number 3 and 4. You can't even really see it from that one. I thought we might have... Oh, we had a digger cam in turn number 1. It does not appear that we do. But progressive banking is where the top side of the racetrack has more banking than the bottom side of the racetrack, which means usually the truck will handle a little bit better on the high line of the racetrack than it will right on that yellow line. Longest way around the racetrack is up by the wall. Shortest way around the racetrack is down by the yellow line. That's how that works. But because the car works better in the longer distance, it's usually just as fast as the lower line. And Andre, that can make it extremely difficult for the truck on the inside line to complete the pass. Similarly, on the for the truck on the outside line, as it looks like the administrators now have elected to use the warm-up session. So we got some trucks out there. But it can make passing really difficult, Andre, and really frustrating for the drivers.
Unless they know the other benefit of the progressive banking, which is the slide job. When the top of the corner is banked more than the bottom, you can really throw it in there, and when your truck starts to slide up towards that wall, you might feel that progressive banking catch you and actually stop you from sliding up into the wall. So here at Iowa, sometimes you'll see pretty aggressive moves where drivers will throw it down, though like you said, they'll race side by side, lap after lap, and it gets a little bit difficult, and then it can get frustrating. And eventually they're just going to throw it down to the low line, slide up to the top, let that banking catch them, and if everything goes their way, they're going to drive away with it.
So hopefully we see some good action out there on the racetrack here tonight. On board with driver of the number 98 machine, this is Jeremy Richmond, as he heads around the racetrack right in the middle side of the racetrack now, dipping just barely below those dashed white lines through turns number 3 and 4. One other thing to mention about Iowa Speedway is it is extremely bumpy, Andre. There's a couple of bumps on this racetrack, particularly on the high side between turns number 1 and 2. I'm sure we'll see those bumps catch someone here tonight, where it can really wreak havoc on the handling of your race truck and put you in the outside wall. But for the most part, usually you can handle most of the bumps, but they're just something that gives an extra flavor to this racetrack.
Yeah, the one bump that I'd be most concerned with is like the final bump coming out of turn 2. It's towards the bottom of the track, and if you hit it wrong, it'll throw you for a loop. That's kind of another reason I wouldn't advocate taking a low exit and trying to pinch your truck, because there is a bump in turn 2 that is very unforgiving. If you're on that middle line, you can kind of avoid it. But yeah, you can see him just kind of bounce around right about there. If he was about a lane lower, he would have caught that bump. Would not have been a good time. But they're also going to have to be careful of these seams, Peter. I mean, you can see where the seams are in the pavement, where the banking sort of changes. And believe it or not, if you put 2 tires on one of those seams as you navigate the corners, sometimes you lose grip and it can get you a little bit sideways.
Something to keep an eye on here tonight. We're getting word in the 3-Wide TV chat from Stan Hausman, as the number 13 of Jordan Shepler goes around out of turn number 4. That Stan has mentioned that the race control is having some technical issues, and so we are getting this happy hour practice for all of our fans at home to watch. So a little bit extra practice time for the drivers here as the sun continues to set at the Iowa Speedway. There is Adam Dama, who has been active in the 3 Wide TV chat. And folks, if you're watching this race on demand, YouTube is adding a feature that is coming to the channel here that is going to be called Super Thanks. That's right. You can add Super Thanks to the video by adding in a monetary donation, or, whoa, we got contact there on the front stretch. Adam Dama spinning around right there at the start-finish line with the number 17 of Tristan Maher. But if you enjoy the 3 Wide TV content, you're not watching this live, you can actually give a super thanks now after the race is completed. And of course, we want to give a super thanks to the members of the 3 Wide TV pit crew. That's right, the members who have joined the channel. You can join the channel for just $1 a month. You get a special badge next to your name, just like Stan Hausman and Adam Dama, and your name turns green in the chat as well. And you can also get the custom emotes that we have here on the channel. It helps support us on the channel, as well as you by getting the custom emotes when we broadcast all the time. So a lot of fun to have that, and we thank all of you for joining us here tonight. Stellar Stella says, I wonder if RC has Xfinity Comcast. I don't know. I don't have any experience with Xfinity Comcast. Johnny Williams in the chat as well, saying good luck all and hello to the booth. Johnny, folks, if you're in the chat, why don't you express your condolences to Johnny? He lost his uncle this week. Johnny, our thoughts and prayers are with you here in the 3 Wide TV booth. I know your uncle was a racer himself. And Johnny, I hope that you get to feeling better here, and our thoughts and prayers are with you. Riderly Angle 2 also joining us in the chat. But checkered flag has fallen on happy hour, Andre. It's time for us to jump down to tonight's starting lineup. It is going to be a good one. Bringing it up here on the screen, Andre, why don't you take it away with our pole sitter, Tristan Maher?
It is going to be that number 17 on pole. He's been fast everywhere every week. Not a surprise there. On his outside, you got Jeff Price in that 14 machine. Row 2 is going to be Philip Scott and Julian Tesoro. Very strong second row as well. Nathan Maurer and Martin Plute making up row 3. 7 and 8 is going to go to David Buell and Matt Cherry. Running out the top 10 is going to be Adam Dama and Ben Mashburn. Just outside of the top 10, you got Randy Perdue and Adam Lichty in that number 51. And I got the name right this time. Lichty, not Lichty. And looking back to 13 and 14, if we get the graphic to move a little bit here, it is going to be Jordan Shepler in the 13, in 13th. What are the odds of that? Justin White in the number 2, P14, mid-grid. Can't complain about that. Travis White is going to be 15th, and 16th is going to go to Jeremy Richmond. Doug Neal, going to be P17. Vincent Valvano, 18th. 19 and 20, Adam Newton, Nick Kessler. Nick Kessler really fast in practice, not quite as fast in qualifying. He's got a lot of traffic to work through if he wants to get to the front of this field. Behind him, he's got Patrick Morrison and Joseph Misch. Then we got some drivers that did not post qualifying times. Scott Tompkins, who is race control, will not actually be in the race. Dalton Hayes, Stan Hausman, Mikey Williams, and Jason Shue rounding out the field. But they are rolling off pit road, and it's almost race time, Peter.
Yeah, it's almost race time. These drivers will get an extra pace lap. iRacing gives these drivers an additional pace lap if the racetrack is less than 1 mile in length. Iowa Speedway falling in at a very unique 7/8 of a mile, and no other racetrack that I know of comes in at 7/8 of a mile. Kind of that bridges the gap, Andre, between what I'd consider a short track and a speedway, and that's really why it races like a little bit of both. It reminds me a little bit of, remember back in the day, Memphis, but with more banking as well. It kind of came in at a very odd length, and it raced very differently, and it's kind of what Iowa is, just with more banking. So I really like coming here because it is unique, gives a unique racing experience, a unique driving experience as well. All around, a great racetrack for the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast truck series to be at. And of course, make sure to tune in, to the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. Jimbo not in the field here tonight, but make sure to give them a listen. There's their link to the Podbean, in the description of the video. Green flag is in the flagman's hand, getting set to go racing here tonight for 150 laps. Andre, green flag waves, and we're racing here at Iowa.
Man, what a close start between our front row. The 17 just barely gets the advantage down on that yellow line. Looks like he's going to bring Philip Scott in tow as well. Price battling back on the high line. There's 2 wide for second place. 17 has the solo lead, but these guys in battling for second don't really have an opportunity to breathe because they're under fire from Tesoro as well, right on the bumper of that 14. These guys are bumper to bumper. Lap 1 complete. The number 4 gives the number 5 a good shove a little bit further back in the field. That's going to push him a little bit closer to the front. Martin Plute gets a little loose coming out of turn 2. It looks like he's going to concede some positions.
Yeah, Plute dropping all the way to the back of the racetrack, losing all that track position down there, making a safe move. Is he coming down pit road? He is coming down pit road, so maybe this is a little bit of a scheduled stop, and we're hearing Patrick Morrison is having an issue. Let's see what happened to bring out the caution flag. Might have been Patrick Morrison. Here we go, on board with the driver of the number 96, Andre, coming out of turn number 4, gets loose. Maybe had a little bit of help. We'll check on that in a moment, but that was enough to bring out caution flag number 1 here tonight.
Yeah, that'll do it. I'm still a little curious what was going on with that number 8. It seemed like something was wrong. He was going down the pits even before that incident happened, but riding on board again, I don't think he got any help here. I think, just a little loose is all it took, and we're going to see that. I mean, especially on cold tires. They hadn't been racing long enough to get heat in those tires, and yeah, this track's going to be real slick on exit. Going to get a little more grip as the night goes on. As we go to the gyro cam for the replay, keep an eye on that steering wheel. He caught the slide early. He knew it was happening. Tried to counter steer, just a little too late. Ultimately gets it back on track. It was a good save. Kept it off the inside wall. Kept it from collecting anybody else. Good piece of driving there.
Yeah, it didn't cause any damage. That is the good news. Now, I do want to mention that our points leader, Martin Plute, has taken the number 8 machine behind the wall. So not sure if there was a mechanical issue, some type of hardware failure that he might have had, as Tristan Maher tries to be Tony Stewart here under the caution flag by being right up in the back bumper of the pace truck. But Andre, our current points leader, and Martin Plute, no longer on the racetrack.
Yeah, that is baffling. Like you said, it almost seems like it had to be some sort of hardware failure, maybe something mechanical. He was good in practice and seemed like he was ready to race, and then just pulled it into the pit. So we'll probably learn a little bit more about that as it develops, and if we do learn anything or see a reason, then we will update you. But yeah, that's a turn of events. Points leader most likely giving up the points lead, and kind of conceding some points. It's not an ideal situation, not an ideal start to the race, especially when you have to think he was going to have some speed here. I mean, he was good at Rockingham last week, and yeah, it's a different track, but like we mentioned, similar skill set to be applied here, and I was expecting great things out of him. That is a shame.
Yeah, definitely a shame to see our points leader out of the race early in the running. But we're looking at driver of the number 4 machine. That is Ben Mashburn. Started the race in the 10th position, currently running in 7th, already up 3 positions. And Andre, we haven't run a lot of green flag lap. I think we just barely made it 2, so good start here for the driver of the number 4 F-150 of Ben Mashburn. Other drivers who have gained spots in the field, Jeremy Richmond. There he is in the Phillips Golf Academy, number 98. Good looking paint scheme. I like the color combination on that 98. Really makes it stand out. He has also gained 3 positions, started 16th, now running 13th. And Adam Newton, the number 29 machine, one of the drivers I expected to see up towards the front of the field, has had really good races in that number 29 Toyota Tundra. Started this race in 19th, now running 16th, and Joseph Misch has also picked up 3 positions here so far tonight. Just checking on some of the field here, and there's the number 94 of Patrick Morrison, who spun around to bring out caution flag number 1 here tonight. But hopefully the pace truck lights turn off soon here, Andre. A bit of a lengthy caution to start off the race.
Yeah, just getting everything sorted out. Hopefully they can get back to racing soon, rack them and stack them. But in the meantime, these guys are probably getting a little anxious. They were ready to go green and then immediately had to go back yellow. Not entirely sure what the caution length is down to, but I want to go back to Mashburn and that number 4. You mentioned how he picked up a handful of positions in the short time that we were green. I was watching him, and man, he was really aggressive as always, making some passes, very bold where he put his truck, and that seems to be Mashburn's MO. He's not afraid to make a move, and I like that. He does not waste any time. So many times you see these guys, they try to play it safe and they want to ride around and they think, if I'm too aggressive, maybe I'm just going to wreck, or I'm going to wreck somebody else. Or then they later in the race they find themselves involved in an incident with it maybe they wouldn't have even been in had they made some more passes. But Mashburn does not waste time. He gets up there, he makes passes, and he wants to be out front. And I think you're going to see him up front before too long. The way he was pushing the number 5 machine into the corners was really impressive. You don't really see bump drafting here at Iowa, but it seemed like that's what Mashburn was trying, just to get a little bit of an edge. But the pace truck pulls off, and we are about to go green on lap 8 out of 150. The 17 controls the field once again. He's going to get a great jump, better than last time, in fact, as they go side by side for second place. Barreling into turn 1, they're going to stay side by side all the way through the field. Philip Scott gets a really good run on that low line, but right there you can see that high line with that progressive banking. You can carry a lot of momentum, and that helped the 14 truck a ton. Didn't quite get clear, but he's going to get it right here. And actually, with a bit of a run on the leader, he's going to dive down to his quarter panel. Didn't quite lead that lap, but he now has the advantage going into turn 1.
Yeah, wondering if he's going to try the slide job, pull right up in front of number 17. He does so. Maher had a look to the inside, but not quite able to get the run off of turn number 2 that he needed. New race leader Jeff Price, who was in the 3-wide TV chat just a moment ago, and mentioned that he's just looking to have a solid race here tonight and finish well. Well, he can't finish better than where he is right now, leading the field. Just ran the fastest lap of the entire race. There were only 11 laps in, so maybe that's not all too impressive, but Jeff Price, fastest of all so far. Ben Mashburn able to pick up another spot in the number 4 machine, now gaining 4 spots. Calling his own number there since the drop of the green flag. Adam Newton in the number 29 also able to pick up another spot since the restart, so a couple of these drivers able to pick up more positions. Jeremy Richmond also picking up a spot on Adam Dama. He's now +5 from the start of the race, so pointing that Chevrolet Silverado in the right direction as he tries to pick up spots from the next couple of cars in front of him. So far, some good side-by-side racing, as well as right behind him. Here comes Randy Perdue looking to the inside of Adam Dama, but they go single file through turns number 1 and 2.
You gotta love it, Peter. The passing is abundant. Seems like these guys have no problem putting their truck where they want to put it to make the moves. I mean, the 14 using the high side to make a pass, that's promising, especially this early on. I think we're going to see some great battles, and the way he threw that slide job, I kind of called it. I said, you got tracks that got progressive banking. Some drivers get bold with the slide jobs, and he did. But the battle for second is really intense back there. Is on the screen right there. That's side by side, the 29 machine and the 77. Doug Neal, Adam Newton. Going into turn 3 and 4, looks like the bottom lane just a little bit slower on entry. Obviously having to roll that truck up a little bit more to hold that line. It looks like Doug Neal is going to get the advantage as the 29 goes side by side. And another truck, the 47 machine. Well, I tell you what, Peter, that 77 is moving.
Yeah, Doug Neal finding that high line here early on, and it really is working well for the driver of the Simbox Chevrolet right there. Neal has picked up only 2 spots from the drop the green flag, but he's finding his own line out there right now. Let's look a little bit further towards the front right here. This is the 5th place number 5 machine, calling his own number in that Ford F-150 right in front of Ben Mashburn, as Julian Tesoro has now closed in right on the back bumper of Tristan Maurer. This is the battle for 3rd, really kind of the battle for 3rd all the way back to the 971 of Nathan Maurer, who's running in 7th. We'll keep our eyes on this battle at least for a little bit of time, because Andre, with the way this race is going, I feel like really anyone in this group could make a pass as Tesoro looks to the inside as they enter turn number 1.
He's going to make the move just barely with a bit of a slide job. You love to see it, but here comes the 17 with a crossover. Back to the bottom. He's going to hug that yellow line. Can he use the bottom to make the pass? Not quite. The 30 gets the advantage again. Question is, does Tristan Maurer learn from Tesoro and try to replicate that slide job that he himself threw to get this position back? I think that's what he's going to have to do if he wants to make a swing at it. But while these guys are battling, that's allowing Philip Scott up in 2nd place to get a little bit further away as he tries to run down the number 14. Now, one thing I'm noticing, Peter, the high line does seem to have an advantage right now. It does seem to be the faster line, but being the longer way around the track, you got to think it's scuffing the tires up a little bit more than if they're running the bottom. And I would assume they're thinking about tire preservation. This is going to be a one-stop race if it stays green, I believe. So not too many opportunities to take tires unless we get a lot of cautions. So they might want to be careful, make sure they look out for the long run. But in the meantime, just trying to grab the track position where they can. Single filed 1 through 4. Actually 1 through, I would say, all the way back to, where's the first battle? It is going to be Houseman in P22. He was side by side with Mikey Williams for just a moment. Now Mikey's making the move on Vincent Valvano, or at least trying. Vincent's getting a heck of a run on the 187 machine. I apologize, not 157. Mish battling back on the high line. But yeah, I'm telling you, Peter, that high line, I think that's the place to be right now.
Yeah, I agree. That is the line to be right now as we look at a side-by-side battle between Stan Houseman and Mikey Williams. They're going back at it here through turns number 2, now down the backstretch. That number 32 has picked up a couple of spots since the drop of the green flag. Same with Stan Houseman in the Beer Street Journal Ford F-150 right there. This is the battle for, like I mentioned, 21st. There's nothing really going on inside the top 5 right now. They're still kind of all packed up with one another, but no active side-by-side battles. This looks like this is going to sort itself out now. But let's jump up to this right here as Ben Mashburn getting a little bit slideways down off into turn number 1, making that back end a little bit big as 971 of Nathan Maurer has a look to the inside there briefly, and Andre Mashburn here really throwing it around.
I think he might have got bumped a little bit going into that corner, but they kept it under control. It looks like he's going to try to make a move to the bottom. Can't quite get there. Mashburn still playing strong defense. I'm a little surprised. I thought Mashburn was going to make a little more progress on this green flag run, but with as aggressive as he's driving, this might be kind of an ominous sign that tire wear is important here, Peter, because he was driving hard and probably using up those tires a little bit more than the trucks around him, and that's probably why these guys are starting to get these big runs, why you can't quite hold that corner speed. And we're only on lap 26. These guys have another, 124 laps to go. So, man, oh man, tires starting to get hot, get used up pretty early, possibly. On your screen now, we're following along with Tesoro, who hasn't been able to run away from Maurer in that number 17 machine. I kind of thought the 30 was going to make some progress towards Philip Scott, but these guys have been so equally paced. They're just kind of following each other tire track for tire track, just kind of trying to avoid running the exact same lane. You want to get in the clean air, maybe half a lane up or half a lane down from where the guy in front of you is, and that's exactly what Maurer is doing. Is he goes to the high line, maybe going to get a run down this straightaway, and he does. It's a good run, but where does he take it? Nowhere. He's going to take it to the bumper and just push him into the corner. Running that high line again. A lot of aggression coming out of that 17. He's trying to find some speed to get around this truck. Not quite able to do it yet, but man, he's looking.
Yeah, that number 17 just unable to find a way through that machine. Meanwhile, this battle we were just looking at a moment ago, Ben Mashburn versus Nathan Maurer. Looks like Mashburn going to hold on to that spot. They were briefly side by side. That number 4, notoriously difficult to pass out there on the racetrack, is now Matt Cherry throws a little bit of a block to the number 4 Mashburn. Also creeping into the picture back here is David Buell, who's having a good run in the Simbox number 52. Buell this season hasn't had the best of luck, but right now solidly inside the top 10 as Jeremy Richmond continues his climb through the field in the number 98. He's now gained 7 spots from the beginning of the race. So far so good for Jeremy Richmond here tonight. Maybe just didn't find that lap time that he needed, Andre, in qualifying, but he's showing his race pace for sure as we work lap number 31.
That's the thing with qualifying and doing the single car quals. Some guys are going to have hot lap setups. They're going to have setups that are real fast in the short run. Other guys are going to think more long term. They're going to have a car that's a little bit more capable on the long run, or maybe they're just going to run a line that's better for the long run, and that's just what they're better at as a driver. So it's always interesting, and I think Iowa's a track that opens itself up to that. You do tend to get a lot of long green flag runs here, and so the better you are at that, I think the more of an advantage you're going to have. Mashburn doing a great job holding these guys back. As close as they were, I wasn't sure how long he was going to be able to keep that truck in the mirror, but he's still got him for the time being and doing a good job of it. Meanwhile, the number 5 pulling away a little bit in front of him. Matt Cherry finding his groove, so to speak, just gaining a little bit of time on the trucks ahead and pulling away from the trucks behind. Here we go. Here is another move on Mashburn. Down to the bottom. I think he's got it this time if he can slide it up. Is he going to try? Nope, he's holding the bottom. They're going to be door to door, a little bit loose coming out of the corner. That's what happens. Exit down low. It's risky, but he's going to stay side by side. He's got another swing at it right here. This time he's in the middle groove, which is a little bit more preferable than where he was last time. Coming out of turn 2, he arcs it up, and again, a little bit of a slide. That cost him momentum and a position.
Yeah, Jeremy Richmond now plus 9 spots from the drop of the green flag. What a great run this has been for the Phillips Golf Academy. Chevrolet now on the back bumper of the F-150 of Mashburn. Can he now click into the double digit in the position gained column? Let's see right here at the bottom right hand corner of your screen, those green and red numbers that you see there in the battle box. That indicates how many positions they have either gained or lost from the start of the race, and that's plus 9 for Jeremy Richmond. Using that high line, Andre, to try and get that run here off into turn number 3. Richmond just looking really good. Going to go all the way up to the top side. Can he cut back underneath here? Can he get that run off of turn number 4? No, he cannot. As the 971 Nathan Maurer, maybe he's going to try and lay back and learn something from the biggest mover of the race here over the next couple of laps.
I tell you what, if Jeremy Richmond thought he was good at passing trucks, I think he just met the final boss. His number 4 has been so strong on the defense. Even a really fast truck like Richmond's seems to be struggling to get around him. That is quite impressive if he can keep him behind. But we'll see how that develops. I mean, there's so much speed out of that truck. I can't imagine he's going to hold him at bay long. But this battle is heated up. 17 back on the bumper of Tesoro in that 30. And he's going to dive down to the bottom. Again, he's going to get door to door, but just doesn't quite get the momentum down low. You just scrub too much speed as they battle for third here. He's going to have to figure something out. Maybe go to the high line or possibly throw a slide job, but just trying to run that bottom and hold it is not working out so far. As they slide up towards the wall on exit at 2, he's still within a truck length, still within striking distance. We got a side-by-side battle here, though. Adam Lichty, Random Purdue, Doug Neal, these guys duking it out for some position here, just outside of the top 10, sliding up a little bit. That 25 got a little squirrely, but he gathered it up. And it almost looks like the draft is kind of playing a bit of a part in this, Peter. The outside lane where they were formed up was a little bit quicker, and the 25 lost some momentum being hung out to dry on the bottom, but coming on the back straightaway, they're going to be side by side again. These guys are racing like it's the last lap.
Yeah, this is a good little scrum out there on the racetrack as Neal, who's been pretty steadfast to that higher groove now, making that pass on Randy Perdue for the 13th position as they run behind the number 51 of Adam Lichty. The 77 now going to the bottom side of the racetrack. I'm just saying, he's been pretty steadfast to the high line. What does he do? Goes down to the bottom side of the racetrack, and right back behind him, Adam Dama and Justin White are battling for the 15th position side by side here down the front stretch. If you're wondering, inside the top 5, Julian Tesoro and Tristan Maher still running nose to tail. Jeremy Richmond also is having a peek on, Nathan Maurer having a peek on Jeremy Richmond. This is a battle a little bit closer towards the front of the field. Nothing doing there. Looks like Maurer going to have to slot back in, and Jordan Shepard now closing in on this battle for position. Andre, we got a few really good battles on the racetrack right now.
And I think this is courtesy of Mashburn. I think he's just holding these guys up just enough that the guys behind are closing that gap. He's kind of causing a bit of rush hour traffic behind him, but nobody can make the move. Nobody can pass him, so they're just kind of forming up in this pack behind him. This will be really fun to watch develop, but right here, nearly 3 wide for a minute. That 29 was thinking about making a move there. Is he, oh boy, a couple trucks getting squirrely on exit. This is such a gaggle of cars, not even quite sure who to keep an eye on. Everybody is just everywhere trying to hug that yellow line. The 77 really wants to make the move on the 51 of Lichty. But again, that high line just so strong, nobody can really do anything about it. 2 wide, multiple rows deep, and I think we were 3 wide for just a split second there, as a little bit of momentum lost out of, couldn't quite make out that truck, the blue vehicle, 47. Lost some momentum there. Dalton Hayes got a little squirrely, had to back out of it. Now he's fallen to the clutches of that 39 truck, Stan Hausman. He is side by side currently with Joseph Misha in that 187. I believe that is Nick Kessler behind them, the 88 truck. Hasn't quite made up the progress we were kind of expecting via his practice pace, but we'll see where his race goes. Looks like the 51 finally gets clear, but it's only going to be for a minute. There he goes, down to the bottom. He is going to have the advantage going into the corner, but as the 25 tries to join the mix, can Lichty fight back on the high side? Yes, he can. Man, oh man, the passing seems to be getting more difficult. I'm noticing, Peter, as these tires wear, it seems like it's getting more and more difficult to make these moves.
Yeah, and Andre, one thing that I want to do is turn our sights to the front of the field, because the National Ninja League number 99, driven by Philip Scott, has run down Jeff Price. I think this will be a test of just how difficult it is to make a pass here on the racetrack. Julian Tesoro still holding on to third, but he has his own issue with the number 17, Tristan Maher, right back behind him. There you see the number 3 of Jason Shue, who has fallen 1 lap down and is in the Brookstone Animal Hospital lucky dog position. If we were to see a caution, here comes Maher looking to the inside. This is the battle for third right now. Can he find the grip down there he needs? Tesoro using that extra banking up there on the top side of the racetrack, pulling level, but can Maher throw a deep lunge off into turn number 3? He can't. Andre, Maher back up to third.
And he made the move on the low side. It finally worked out. I'm not sure what he did different. Seemed to adjust his line just a little bit, and that was the extra oomph that he needed. Meanwhile, another battle on screen. Jeremy Richmond, I believe, holding off another truck, but a gaggle of cars that we were following before. Looks like Lichty is kind of fallen through this pack a little bit. Is that 29 truck trying to hold down the bottom against the 77, 25 to his outside, trying to make something happen. But seeing the 17 make that move on the low line gives me a little bit of hope for these guys. Maybe as time goes on, the track temps go down, the low line comes a little bit more competitive, and these guys are going to be able to make some pretty aggressive moves.
Yeah, action now kind of all over the racetrack as Ben Mashburn is finally passed by Nathan Maurer. That took a long time, although Mashburn wants to get that position right back here as we work lap number 53, but you would think Maurer now has the more preferred middle groove. At least it seems like that middle groove has been more preferred as Jordan Shepler now looking to the high side of Ben Mashburn. This is a side-by-side battle for 7th. And you would think that Shepler is able to use that preferred line. Seems like that's where we are seeing drivers make easier passes, and sure enough, Jordan Shepler takes away 7th, so slide Ben Mashburn back to 8th. Jeremy Richmond is under fire from the number 23 of Travis White, in danger of losing this position. We had mentioned on the Jeremy Richmond was plus 9 spots from the start of the race just a little while ago. Well, he's now starting to slide backwards in the field. I think he was as high up as about 7th spot, now falling back to 11th, outside the top 10, and it's a ways back to the next Jaguar cars. Jeff Price up at the front of the field has been able to find a little bit extra speed and leg it out on Philip Scott again, just a little bit here as we close in on the halfway mark. Laps clicking off very quickly here in the Iowa 150 on 3 wide TV. You're just now joining us. Only one caution flag in the opening 56 laps, and we got drivers on pit road. Here comes Jeremy Richmond and Adam Lichty. Andre, you'd think this would be for a 2-stop strategy here tonight.
Yeah, that very well may be. If they're bringing it down now, they might come back in a little past lap 100. And we've seen a lot of deterioration on the lap times. Oh, Lichty, I believe, got into the pit road wall and then towed. Something. No, he did not tow. Somebody disappeared on pit road. It might not have been Lichty. Let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah, it was Adam Lichty. And just took a tow back to his pits. Maybe calling it a 9. Not exactly sure what happened there, but you saw it. You were right. It was Adam Lichty. So tough break for the number 51 machine. Still sits in his pit box as you're looking at the number 14 of Jeff Price, your current race leader over Philip Scott. Tristan Maher in 3rd is closing in on the top 2. Andre, not necessarily doing so super quickly. Let's see if we can bring up the kind of the lap time history here at the bottom of your screen. You can see Maher about 1 to 2 tenths faster than your race leader, Jeff Price. So that is going to be something to be mindful of as we're hearing that the driver who just came down pit road, we just saw him a little while ago, Jeremy Richmond, has had problems. Let's see what happened to driver of the number 98 on fresh tires here, Andre.
So it's on fresh tires. They're probably not quite up to temperature yet. Coming out of the corner, hugging that yellow line and just exited a little bit too low. Got squirrely on exit. Very easy to do. When you go from old worn tires that are a little bit hotter, you get used to driving with them, and then you get those fresh tires. It's like driving a completely different truck, and it takes a minute to acclimate, and that just unfortunately sent him for a loop there. Had to take a tow, got some damage. Probably be able to get back out on track if he chooses to do so. I don't think that was anywhere near terminal damage, but that is a shame because he was one of the biggest movers of the race and had so much speed in that 98 truck. Seems like Iowa has been a very strange race, Peter. We've had our points leader pull in on lap 1 inexplicably. We had the 51, Adam Lichty, have some pit road issues, and then 98 just getting a little squirrely on exit all by himself. Very strange events.
Yeah, very, very strange events. That is for certain. And folks, we apologize for the spam in the chat. Nothing we can really do about it, but report it to YouTube. So we are getting rid of that as we can, and we are reporting it. If you want to report it as well, if you're in the chat, I thoroughly appreciate it. But we got Stay Tuned Sports as well saying I didn't bring the spam. I don't know if I believe you, Jimbo. I think you might be. Stay Tuned Sports saying I'm late to the party. Where is Cherry and Darling at? Well, Matt Cherry has been running around the top 5 here tonight. He currently is running in the 5th position in the number 5 machine, actually. Chris Darling is not in the field here tonight. We'll see Chris Darling hopefully back on the racetrack at some point soon, but he will be stepping away from the racetrack at least for a little bit. So hopefully we can see Darling back on the racetrack, and potentially I might have him in the 3-wide TV booth. But right now, to answer your question, Matt Cherry in the number 5 is in the 5th position. Some good racing here, just one caution flag all night long. If you're just now joining us, we got this battle deep in the field. Mikey Williams and Patrick Morrison. This is for the 19th position, Andre. And looks like that number 94, who brought out our first caution here tonight, wants to pick up that 19th spot.
A little bit of damage at the front end. That might hinder that 94 machine, but he is right on the bumper, definitely in position to attack. Here's some more battling going on there on the back straightaway. Looks like Doug Neal and Adam Dama going at it again. These guys can't get away from each other. They've been battling for quite some time. Nick Kessler as well in that 88, just trying to get clear. Can't quite do it. The low line, as we've seen so many times tonight, just a little bit off in terms of pace. Here is a battle for second. Philip Scott at one point not long ago had gotten to the leader, was challenging for the lead, lost a little bit of pace, and now the 17, who we kind of showed earlier, was slowly reeling these guys in. Well, he's there, and he's going to try to make the move. There's your lap time difference. Maurer in that 17, 800ths, 100th, 100th, a 10th there, a 10th there. I mean, he's just slowly been picking away at these guys, and if he's got the pace to pass him, well, we'll see. Down on that low line, trying to get around Philip Scott, but Philip's been really consistent tonight. Maybe not the fastest truck in terms of raw speed, but consistency. It seems like he's been able to adapt to the older tires, been able to just keep doing what he needs to do, turning those laps, and they've got a few more cars down pit road. Guys who were just battling a moment ago, getting some fresh Goodyears and some fuel in those machines. And it looks like Maurer has made the move on Philip Scott. He's going to move up to P2, and now he's going to make his bid at the leader in that 14 truck, see if he can't reel him in. He's got about 10 truck lengths to go if he wants, well, a little bit more than that actually, if he wants to do so. But lap traffic has been abundant, and that may play its part in slowing down the leader and helping out the 17 and the 99 just a little bit. So we got some trucks blending into the track coming out of pit road. But it looks like, Peter, I think it's pretty much all but confirmed. These leaders got to be taking a one-stop strategy at this point, right? I mean, they've stayed out so long. There's no way it's going to be two.
Yeah, I would agree that they will see out this green flag run until lap number 75, and then I expect to see pit road be very busy. We're seeing a couple of other drivers coming down pit road as well. David Buell in his number 52 Simbox machine has just come on and off pit road. As Andre, I wasn't expecting this to happen quite this fast, but already we have a battle for the race lead, just about a quarter of a second separating our top two as Jeff Price goes to the high side around Mikey Williams. That will now just put 16 drivers on the lead lap. Maurer has the bit between his teeth here, trying to get to the race lead before coming down pit road. That's really always been my goal, Andre. When you have one of these green flag runs, try and get to the race lead before coming down pit road. That really puts you in an advantageous position, because at that point you can kind of force the hand of everyone around you, and Maurer says, I want that spot here before they make their green flag pit stops as we head through turn number 3 and 4. That 17 is hooking that bottom line exceptionally well. Andre, I think he's going to take it here in 1 and 2.
Oh, I think he's going to get it 2 down on the bottom. Once again, slight advantage to the 17. Truck getting thrown around by the bumps here and there. I'd say 1 and 2 is the harder corner to hold the bottom. And you can see the 14 does get a bit of an advantage here. But through 3 and 4, the bottom is a little bit more forgiving. It's a little bit of a wider arc out. So the 17 can be a little bit more aggressive here. And he is. He is clear of the leader. New leader, Maurer in the 17. But not for long. Here comes the 14 trying the crossover. Now the 14 takes to the low line. Can he do what Maurer just did? He's going to try down the back straightaway, but no, cannot keep up the momentum. nobody has anything to match the long run pace of this 17 truck. I mean, this guy is literally a tenth of a lap faster than the next fastest guy on track. Whatever he did to save those tires, man, it worked. He is flying. Now, if I'm the number 14 truck, though, Peter, I'm coming down pit road. As soon as you get past and you're close to a pit sequence, I think it's best just to bring her on down and minimize that damage.
And let's speak about pit road right now. Randy Perdue on pit road. Matt Cherry, the number 5, just now leaving his pit box. Nathan Maurer, the 971 on pit road. Travis White just now leaving his pit box. And Nick Kessler, the number 88 machine. Taz Racing Customs Chevrolet on pit road as well. So several drivers coming on and off of pit lane. There's Tristan Maher in the Eclipse Photography F-150 now electing to come down pit road. So not only was he the race leader, Andre, but he's going to come down pit road a little bit earlier than Jeff Price. He's followed onto pit lane by Philip Scott. Where is number 14 of Jeff Price? Oh, I would expect to see Price on pit lane this time, wouldn't you, Andre?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine he's going to stay out too much longer, as he has a little bit of internet blinking issues there. But coming out of 3 and 4, he does bring, he's going to try to make it down pit road, and he misses. Just a little bit too hot on entry. He's going to have to go around. That is disastrous.
That is, like you said, absolutely disastrous. Going to lose a ton of time. Probably going to lose about 2 or 3 seconds in that ordeal. Now, we are hearing that something might have happened to driver of the number 88 machine as well. Let's see what happened here to the Taz Racing Customs Chevrolet of Nick Kessler. Already quite a bit of front-end damage, and went for a little bit of a loop coming off of turn number 4 down into the grass. Did not bring out the caution flag. Just now checking, and Jeff Price able to make it onto pit road this time. Let's see if we can get a replay of that pit lane entry this time. The second time, it looks like a lot smoother than his first attempt to getting onto pit road, but we will get an indication of just how much time he lost once everything cycles on through. Jordan Scheffler right now, however, is your race leader in the number 13. Still out there, yet to make a pit stop at all here tonight. Stan Houseman back in second, has pitted, but he pitted on under the first caution flag on lap number 4. Dalton Hayes also yet to pit. Here comes the number 13 of Jordan Scheffler on to pit lane. However, he will relinquish the race lead to the number 39 Beer Street Journal F-150 of Stan Houseman. Dalton Hayes still out there on the racetrack. He will move up into second. But as things cycle out here, Andre, we're going to be looking at presumably the number 17, Tristan Maher, will be your race leader. But he does have Julian Tesoro there. Oh no! Things have gone from bad to worse for Jeff Price. The number 14 has spun it around on the backstretch. Green flag, though, stays out.
Oh, man. You hate it. That's a disappointment. We'll take a look at the replay. Coming through the trial, entering low in 1 and 2, had some traffic to his outside. And again, he's on these cold tires, tries to chase it up the racetrack, almost does, just tags another truck by a little bit, catches the break in the wall, and not too much damage, but a lot of time lost. And man, so close. I think if that traffic had not been there when he was chasing it up the track, he might have actually saved it. He was wheeling that thing and really seemed like he had it under control. We'll take another look at it here in the 3-wide TV slow-mo cam. You can see just a little bit of a wiggle there. He catches it again, sliding up the track, and that was what sealed the deal right there. Bounces back down into him just a little bit. Unfortunate for both those drivers involved. Really just kind of victim of circumstance there for the number 23. But yeah, that's the second time we've seen it, Peter. Drivers get so used to driving on those warm tires, the old tires. They put on cold ones, and it's so hard to adjust.
Yeah, Jeff Price has gone from battling for the race lead to currently sitting 1 lap down out there on the racetrack. Tristan Maher closing in on Stan Houseman, who has recently worked his way off of pit road. Jason Shue is on pit lane right now, and I believe that is going to cycle through the pit stops. No indications of any drivers receiving any pit lane speeding penalties, although Patrick Morrison did have an extended stay on pit road, presumably to get some damage repaired. He is currently sitting in the 18th position as they run right now. Matt Cherry side by side with Julian Tesoro. This is two drivers who pitted about almost 10 laps apart. Tesoro was one of the earlier pit lane adopters, pitted 8 laps before the number 5 of Matt Cherry. That's going to give Matt Cherry the tire advantage, and he makes use of that to pick up that spot, although Tesoro cuts back underneath him here as they go towards turn number 1.
He is going to have an opportunity at it right here. Down on the low line, 3 wide for a moment, but look at that, the number 5 rocketing down the straightaway. What a good run that was. 14 trying to send it in that middle lane, 3 wide again. These guys are getting dicey here on lap 90. Coming to the line, they're finally going to sort it out single file, but man, that was some great racing by those guys. Very aware of everything going on around them. Awesome to see. Another battle on track, Adam Newton, Travis White, these guys, another pair of drivers who just haven't really been able to escape each other, and they've got Jordan Scheffler behind them. Jordan Scheffler, he's been involved in a lot of battles tonight. You want to talk about a guy driving his tail off. Scheffler has done a phenomenal job working his way through the grid and just constantly in and around traffic, not really being afforded the luxury of a clean track like some of these other drivers. To the outside he goes with a lot of momentum. I think he might be able to make the move here in 1 and 2. That's going to put Scheffler up to P7 if he can complete this pass, and he does. Gets clear coming out of the corner. That 13 machine, he's looking pretty good, Peter.
Yeah, Scheffler also on the freshest tires of this particular group, pitted on lap number 82. Compare that to Newton, Purdue, and company, who all pitted on lap number 58 or a couple laps before that. So that's going to give Scheffler the tire advantage, and he kind of rocket off into the sunset here. David Buell in front of him pitted 13 laps before Scheffler, so we expect to see Scheffler close in on the back bumper of the number 52 as this run continues on. Nathan Maurer in front of him pitted on lap number 75, and Julian Tesoro there in the number 30 pitted on lap number 67. Tesoro started the race here tonight in 4th and is now currently running in the 4th position. So just to kind of reset the field for you, Tristan Maher has about a 1-second lead over the number 99 National Ninja League machine of Philip Scott. There is Ninja Phil. Matt Cherry now up into the 3rd position, able to get around Julian Tesoro and Jeff Price. Of course, Price having his issues. In fact, you see that back channel Productions number 14 just a little bit up the road. Trying to stay in this position right now, Andre, because if a caution flag was to come out, he is in the Brookstone Animal Hospital lucky dog position and would get himself back on the lead lap and in contention to fight for a top 10. But right now, as they run, sitting in the 14th position, how things change here over, or how things have changed over the last 20 laps or so. Very much a tough break for that number 14.
Yeah, a lot of, I would say that's just another thing to add to the list of strange events that have happened tonight. The 14 just having numerous issues. He was racing for the lead, now all the way a lap down, although he's trying to unlap himself the old-fashioned way. He's actually a little bit quicker than Philip Scott there in 2nd, and it looks like he's actually going to nose into the high line here, get side by side. He should be able to complete this move. Looks like Philip Scott's going to give it to him. He's not too far off the leader. He's actually running a little bit quicker right now in terms of lap time. So give it a minute. He may be up there unlapping himself the old-fashioned way, maybe not relying on that lucky dog, which would be beneficial to him because then he wouldn't have to go to the end of the longest line. He could pit with the leaders as well. So that could be a potential first stepping stone to a bit of a comeback. But, man, it's going to be a tall order because we're running out of laps. We're on lap 98 now as they take the line. I'm sorry, 99 as they take the line out of 150. So for drivers like Jeff Price, unfortunately, probably going to rely on a caution. But can't say we can really rely on that, Peter. I mean, we have not had too many of those tonight.
Cautions have been at a premium for the second straight week. Nick Kessler has entered pit lane again, an unscheduled pit stop for the number 88 Taz Racing Customs Chevrolet. It has not been the night that Nick Kessler wanted after what appeared to be promising pace in practice. As we crack the century mark of laps, 100 laps here will be in the books here shortly. You're looking at the number 4 Ben Mashburn getting around the Sherwin-Williams number 47 of Dalton Hayes. Mashburn trying to run down Adam Newton in front of him. We saw him make the move just a few laps ago on the number 25 of Randy Perdue for that 9th position. David Buell not all too far in front of Adam Newton either, as Jordan Scheffler was able to make the move just a couple of laps ago in that number 13 up into the 6th spot. But he has a whale of a ways to catch up to the back bumper of the 971 and Nathan Maurer. 8 seconds between 5th and 6th out there on the racetrack, Andre. That is a big number between two race trucks, at least in the timing and scoring world. I don't often see 8 seconds between two competitors out there on the racetrack inside the top 6.
From a large gap to a small gap, if we check back in with Jeff Price back in 14th position, he's actually caught the leader of Maher in the 17. He's trying to make the move, but a little bit of lap traffic is going to slow him down a little bit. That gave the 17 some breathing room. As the 23, again, throwing a bit of a slide job. This 14 is going to have to duck down low, and that cost the 14 a little bit of time. The 17 pulled away a few truck lengths last lap. Now we're back to having a clear track. Everything's clean and green. So it's going to be up to Price to reel him back in, make up that time he lost. Maybe try to get this lap back, but we'll have to wait and see. He's running that high line still, which again, very fast up there, but also very aggressive on the tires. Going to have to keep that in mind. We got just a little under 50 laps to go here. So running down into the middle line now, almost towards the bottom for 1 and 2. Still closing the gap a little bit to the leader. But we'll check back in with him shortly, as I believe he'll get there eventually. I want to go a few trucks back, and I want to look at the battle for 4th, I apologize. Nathan Maurer is on the low line, trying to make a move on Julian Tesoro. Tesoro up on the wall. He's had a strong truck all night long. Hasn't quite had the pace to quite lead yet tonight, but solidly in the top 5, and now having to fight for it. Nathan has been one solid driver tonight. He's made a lot of passes, worked his way through the field, now making his bid for 4th, and he is going to get clear, slides up, and a little bit of a bump from Tesoro. Surprised Tesoro didn't duck down low, try to make the crossover, but he just gave him a bit of a bump. Now they're going to single file out and get that sorted out. I think the next battle behind those guys is going to be all the way back for... Nope, that is not for position. Next battle for position is going to be back towards 9 and 10. David Buell, Randy Perdue. These guys not too far from one another, kind of trading off lap times. 1 lap Randy will be quicker, 1 lap David will be a little bit quicker, but ultimately very close as they battle for this final spot in the top 10. Looking a little bit further around the track for some action, and actually looking much further back from them, and you get to the leaders again, where Jeff Price is continuing to reel in 17.
Yeah, Jeff Price trying to reel in the number 17 and also able to stay in that Brookstone Animal Hospital lucky dog position with the first truck 1 lap down. We continue to watch David Buell and Randy Perdue right there on the center of your screen. The bright chartreuse number 52 battling the opposite of his number, or the inverse of his number rather, the 25 of Perdue here, and looks like Perdue might just be a little bit faster, but unable yet to find a way around the Simbox Chevrolet in front of him. Buell trying to get a top 10, and I was looking just a little while ago at his finishing results so far this season. Did get a top 10 in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast 300 back at Daytona. But since then, a 19th place finish at Homestead, a 16th place finish at Rockingham hasn't exactly been what he was hoping for. Justin White now joining this battle for the 9th position, so make that 3 trucks fighting over this spot. Vincent Valvano and Adam Dama battling a little bit further back for the 15th position. They're trading that spot back and forth. Valvano on the high line, Dama on the inside. Comparing these two drivers, Dama pitted significantly after Vincent Valvano. Valvano pitted on lap number 58, so his tires now nearing 60 laps old. Valvano loses that spot to Dama. Dama going to start to pull away. David Buell, though, going back to this battle. Andre Buell under fire from Purdue, and looks like the number 2 if Justin White wants to play as they think about 3 wide through turn number 3 and 4.
Just a moment ago, about a lap prior, the 52 actually tagged the outside wall, lost a little bit of momentum. That opened the door for the 25 to get on the attack, but he wasn't able to complete that move down low, so he's going to fall back in line. The number 2 being a little bit patient back there. I think he's got the pace to get around these guys. Just got to find the right opportunity. It's Justin White dives to the bottom of the 25, carries a lot of momentum. That was a good exit despite being so low on the track. He carried a ton of speed. Now it looks like he's going for a double overtake, the 25 and the 52, and he is. He's going to get clear all the way up into P9, so inside the top 10. Has some pace in that number 2 truck. And one thing to keep in mind, Peter, for those drivers that we suspect to have been on a 2-stop strategy, round about now is the time we're going to expect to see those guys come down pit road. So not too long, we may see some guys make that left turn.
And for the record, those drivers that we thought might be on a 2-stop strategy, one of those was Vincent Valvano down in the 16th position. Has now David Buell and Randy Purdue now battle for 10th position as the 2 of White scoots off into the distance. This is the best battle out there on the racetrack. Adam Dama is also battling for the 14th spot now. We just saw him battle with Vincent Valvano just a couple of laps ago for that 15th spot. Now he's to the inside of Travis White trying to pick up 14th, so a couple of spots potentially in a couple of laps for Dama here as he runs on the bottom side of the racetrack. Number 28 putting together a pretty quiet but relatively solid night here. Haven't made a whole lot of noise, and sometimes that's all you want to do, Andre, here at these racetracks. Just keep the truck in one piece, see out the checkered flag, and have a little bit of fun racing side by side. That's what's happening right here for that 14th spot. They just keep trading it back and forth, don't they?
That's what it's all about, coming out, having fun, making sure you're there at the end. You can't complain about a good points day, and that is what Dama has strung together tonight, as long as he can keep it up. 23 does concede the position as we swap to another battle on track. Back to these guys, Randy Purdue, and looks like David Buell. It does have the advantage for a moment at least. A huge run by the 25. Looks up high, looks down low, but just boxed in there, Peter. Nowhere to take that run. He thought about it, though. He did everything he could. But unfortunately, when you're side by side coming through that tri-oval, not much you can do. I do believe Purdue's a little bit quicker right now, but just doesn't have the track position to get around him. He's boxed in, like I said. He's got, I believe that's Mish down beneath him, holding him to that high line. And as long as the number 52 holds that top lane and keeps him from being able to run that line efficiently, there's really nothing the 25 can do about it. He's just going to have to wait it out, be patient. They are slowly getting clear of Mish, and when that happens, I think that's when the 25 is going to make his move. Here he goes to the very high line. It's going to get him one heck of a run coming out of the corner, but again, side by side, nowhere to really bumper again. Maybe look at the quarter panel, not quite close enough. Now through 1 and 2, he's going to try to do it all over again. Lap after lap, neither of these drivers giving an inch. A little bit of a scrape to the wall behind him. Couldn't quite make out who that was, but they did tag the wall just a little bit. Nothing major. 25 still unable to get clear of Mish, and there it is. Finally, he's clear. And that's going to open up the door, Peter. Now he can really look at maybe using that low line.
Yeah, just trying to find a way around. You know, I mentioned this earlier in the show, towards the beginning of the show, that this racetrack can be so difficult to find a way around a truck in front of you. And sometimes you feel like you're faster, you know you're faster, you're just unable to make that move. As how about this battle? This is a battle between Doug Neal and Jeff Price, as Price decides to back out of it here. Doug Neal and Jeff Price battling for the 12th position, and more importantly, battling for the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award position. Price was able to catch Doug Neal, but now Doug Neal, look at this, pinching the second place truck. Philip Scott down there to the bottom side of the racetrack. Not going to give up that time. Trying to hold on to that spot. I think Doug Neal realizes he's in an important position here if a caution flag was to come out. Maurer is starting to close in on that battle between Randy Perdue and David Buell as well. And if they go a lap down, it's going to be dire straits for a couple of these drivers with if a caution flag does come out. If a caution flag doesn't come out, then really it's all for naught. Just battle for position back here. But they want that Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. We do have a poll in the chat right now. If you're in the 3Wide TV chat listening along, following along, the question is whether or not we will see another caution flag before the end of the night. Currently, the chat thinks we will see another caution flag. Stay tuned Sports thinking there'll be one with about around now, actually. In the next 10 to 15 laps or so, expecting another caution flag. But what do you think if you're in the chat here tonight? Do you think we'll see another caution flag? Make sure to go vote in the 3Wide TV poll. But only one caution here so far, and we're closing in on the checkered flag here in a hurry. As we're looking at this battle, currently the closest battle on track between the number 14 and the 77 of Doug Neal as they run nose to tail.
I think it stays green, to be fully honest. I mean, these guys got a little bit of separation. They're pretty comfortable out there. And we've got a few battles here and there on track, but these guys have just done a phenomenal job of racing each other aggressively, but cleanly and carefully. They're not doing anything, in over their heads. They're just driving at their limits, doing what they need to do. So I'm gonna make a wager, and I'm gonna say that it stays green. These guys have just been too good tonight. The number 14 getting held up a little bit by Doug Neal, and actually that is for position, I believe, as the leaders are kind of pulling away from him here. He's going to go down to the bottom line. Looks like he will complete the pass, slide up a little bit, and maybe trying to make that crossover move just didn't quite work out for him, but Philip Scott ahead of them driving away. And in the meantime, nothing really changing up front as these guys continue to battle it out. Running order in the top 5, still the same as it was when we last checked with them. But I'm a little bit surprised, Peter. Nobody coming down pit road. Some of these drivers, I think, are, even the ones that pit really early on, are still out there.
Yeah, Vincent Valvano still out there. Has only made one pit stop here tonight. Also want to make mention here, Andre, that Tristan Maher recently put David Buell one lap down. Randy Perdue was able to make the pass for the 10th position, and he is the car you see on the left-hand side of your screen, the truck I should say rather, last driver on the lead lap. So we're down to just 10 trucks on the lead lap, and importantly, that means David Buell right here is in the lucky dog position. Jeff Price, while we were looking away, was able to make the pass on Doug Neal a little while ago, so he now has to catch up to the back and get around the number 52 of Buell if he wants to get back into that lucky dog spot if we do see that caution flag. But usually, Andre, you tend to see more caution flags when trucks are packed up close to one another. And yes, we got a couple of lap trucks out there on the racetrack, but for the most part, the closest battle on the racetrack is right here on your screen between the Simbox number 52 and the red number 14 that you see there. And you can see there, I mean, yes, they're close together, but I would say that the pace differential means that they could probably stay close enough, or far enough apart, rather, that they won't cause any problems with one another. Oh man, Buell hits those big bumps up there on the top side. That truck getting all up out of shape, and Jeff Price going to have a run here to the inside.
Another thing to keep in mind, too, in regards to a caution, this track is pretty forgiving. Some tracks are very strict, and it doesn't take a whole lot to bring out a yellow as far as the iRacing service is concerned, but Iowa is not one of those tracks. If you spin, and you spin down the track, which is generally where they go, and you're not on the racing surface, you don't get a yellow. We've seen a couple spins so far tonight that did not initiate a caution. They were out of the racing surface. It was of no concern, so even if we got a couple cars that get swirly, that does not guarantee a caution. So even more in favor of this staying green as we follow along with Maurer, working his way through a whole lot of lap traffic here. There is a line of cars ahead of him, one of which is probably the most difficult truck to pass so far tonight. Ben Mashburn in that number 4. It looks like Maurer is going to make a move to the bottom. Can Mashburn hold him off? He's going to try. Again, just fantastic defense, and he does. Mashburn holding off the leader, continuing that defensive streak there, Peter.
And also, Mashburn has to look in his rear view mirror, because not only is the race leader there, but Randy Perdue, the number 25, is also starting to close in. Maurer really having to slice his way through the field. And that's not a pizza joke, folks, even though Ben Mashburn does have pizza on the hood of that number 4 machine. Look at now Mikey Williams going to the inside of Randy Perdue back there. My oh my, things heating up here deep in the field with the leader in the mix as well. Perdue first driver, now 1 lap down in the number 25 machine. Jeff Price about 2 seconds back from that number 25 Chevy Silverado. I would envision here, Andre, that without another caution flag and perhaps a Beer Street Journal last call or two, that we probably will not see the number 14 of Jeff Price back on the lead lap as Perdue closing in on Mashburn, who finally gets passed by Maurer, falling 1 lap down. So we're down to just 8 trucks on the lead lap here with 10 laps to go.
Can't say enough about the number 4 truck, though. I mean, his defensive ability tonight has been absolutely impressive. It took the leader almost 3 laps to get around him, and that's the fastest truck on the track. So Mashburn not giving up any position easily, not letting anything go, and still running inside the top 10. He's been really solid all night long. Maybe not on the lead lap, but a good point stay and a great performance so far as he is under fire from Perdue in that 25. Looking just about a lane lower. Can he make a move here? He's going to get side by side. Perdue and Mashburn drag racing down the back straightaway, down into 3 and 4. Who's going to get the advantage here? Looks like for a moment it's going to be the 25, but that high line, very strong. That's going to put the 4 truck back to the point. Side by side into 1 and 2. A little bit of company behind him. I believe that's Mish. Not far back. And you can tell the 25, Perdue, he's trying to run the number 4 up the track a little bit. He's not letting Mashburn pinch him down to that yellow line, because that is the last place you want to be on old tires. So he's kind of running him up to the wall, making him give him room. That's a very smart play, but still not quite working out. Mashburn is going to get the advantage, and now he's clear. So the 25 is going to have to regroup and maybe rethink the attack here.
And kind of on the back corner of this battle between the 2 teammates, Joe Mish and Mikey Williams also. They're battling right now for the 15th position. There they are, the 187 and the number 32. Both of those drivers have picked up quite a few spots from the drop of the green flag. In fact, the number 32, Mikey Williams, at plus 10, is only currently bettered by the number 29 machine of Adam Newton, who's picked up 13 spots from the green flag here tonight. And they battle for spots. So late in the going, a couple of battles here around the racetrack. Battle for 15th and battle for 9th between the number 4 and the number 25 machine. They're on different laps, however, as Andre, you look up at the top left-hand corner of your screen, coming to just 4 laps to go here at Iowa.
Race is winding down. No challenge for the lead so far. Everything's pretty clear there. Again, the closest battle right now is between Mashburn and Perdue. These guys just going at it. The 25 is fast. He's got a lot of speed, And he's going to try to make another move down to the bottom of the back straightaway, but it's just not quite going to work. He's got Philip Scott trying to put him a lap down as well. So that's one thing they're going to have to keep an eye on as we are at 3 to go. Philip Scott's going to go down to the bottom of Purdue, and he should be able to hold the line here and make the move, I would think. And he's got Mish right there behind him as well, but the Ford truck's still holding these guys at bay for the time being. Meantime, Maurer 3 seconds ahead of Philip Scott and only pulling away further as we got contact. Mashburn into the outside wall. The 25 is going to tag him a second time. Oh boy, I don't think these guys are too happy with each other there.
Well, the chat did vote. There was actually 5 votes in the chat, every single one of them saying there was going to be another caution flag. It is now Jeff Price joining the mix here for this battle for the 9th position. Can he sneak his way back up into the top 10 in the Back Channel Productions number 14 as the white flag is in the air for your race leader? Just one more lap to go. This battle here that you see between these three going to go all the way to the checkers. But up at the front of the field, no one has anything for Tristan Maurer as he's working his way coming out of turn number 4. The Eclipse Photography 17 goes to victory lane. Back-to-back podiums for Tristan Maurer. Philip Scott going to finish in second. And look at that. Ben Mashburn in the number 4 going to fall all the way back to the 11th spot there on the final lap. Let's see what happened here quickly on the 3-wide TV replay. What happened here on the final lap between Randy Perdue, the number 4 of Ben Mashburn, and the number 14 of Jeff Price. Andre, we didn't catch this because we wanted to catch what happened to our eventual race winner, Tristan Maurer, as he went across the start-finish line. But this was a great battle all the way to the end. Perdue able to get around the 4 there on the final lap. Now, what did Jeff Price do back behind him? Because he sent it there on the top side of the racetrack, found the grip, and just pulled away from Mashburn right there at the end. Great pass.
That was textbook. He just slung it around the top, got the momentum, and just barely nosed him out of the line. So that dropped Mashburn back one more position. And again, Mashburn had some damage from that incident where he got the wall there, so that probably held him up a little bit. But there's your race winner, Maurer, burning it to the ground. Celebration of a fantastic run. I mean, he couldn't ask for a better night out of that 17. He got up to the lead late into the first stint before the first pit stop there. And once that happened, man, he never looked back. He had some competition from the 14, but after the 14 had those misfortunes, that was not a factor anymore. There was nobody to really challenge him. So just drove away with it in dominating fashion. Bit of a twin burnout with number 30. So he's going to bring that thing to the start-finish line, maybe collect that checkered flag. Man, what a night. Nope, he's going to burn it down on the Legends Oval.
Yeah, Maurer won. Very, very happy camper, that is for certain. Here in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, just checking to see, actually, in terms of wins, whether or not Maurer has won here before in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. I don't recall whether or not he has got a win in this particular series. I'm just not seeing it. So I believe this is just checking one more time, folks, just to make sure. But I do believe this is Maher's first win in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast structure. It's going to be fun to get to talk to him here in just a moment as we will talk to our top 3 finishers. Let's see if we can start with driver of the number 5 machine here tonight, Matt Cherry, driver of the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Ford. Matt, good night for you here tonight at the Iowa 150. Kind of a quiet night for you, honestly, but third place nonetheless. Walk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, we were fast early on. Just the longer the runs got, the slower we got. I was kind of hoping for a caution around like lap 100, 125 so we can get some new tires, but it is what it is. Some of them go like this, and, some of them just wreck fest.
Yeah, only one caution flag here tonight. Was that surprising to you based off of what you saw in practice? There was a couple of drivers out there that had some half spins, ended up off the racetrack. iRacing did not throw the caution, but nonetheless, was that surprising to see that few here at Iowa?
I mean, not really. I mean, last season we had a pretty good race here, which is I got took out of that one too. But as the night went on, the track rubbered up, and it wasn't as loose as what it was in practice. It snugged up.
Well, it definitely seemed like fresh tires were a handful here tonight. It seemed like that is when we saw the most troubles, and in even qualifying, we saw that it took really the second lap of qualifying to get the tires up into their optimal situation. But Matt, great race for you here tonight at the Iowa Speedway. Next week, we are going to go to a very interesting racetrack, Kansas Speedway. Usually the high line is the preferred line at the Kansas Speedway. What are your thoughts about that track?
Oh, yeah, I love that place, especially putting it up there on the wall. I mean, you got to be careful, too, because if you overdrive it, you'll slip right up into that wall. And the first time you get in that wall, your night's pretty much done because, I mean, you can fix it, but once you fix it, it still ain't going to handle the same. It's going to get tight. But I'm willing to take that chance.
Always fun to go to Kansas Speedway. I know you have been fast there in seasons past as well, so looking for another strong finish next week out of that number 5 Ford. But before we let you go, Matt, any shout-outs you'd like to give out?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout-out to my sponsor. I don't know where he was at tonight, but he wasn't able to make it. I don't know if he was in the chat tonight or not, but we did what we can do with it.
He's in the chat right now if you want to give him a big shout out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Jim. Maybe next week you can come race with us.
Yeah, hopefully we can see Jimbo out there on the track next week. Matt, thanks as always. Congratulations on a top 3 finish here tonight. We'll see you next week.
All righty. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, that's going to do it with the third place finisher here tonight, driver of the number 5 machine, Matt Cherry. And I believe that Andre Grambush has caught up with tonight's runner-up, the 99 of Philip Scott.
Philip Scott, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Philip, you had one heck of a night tonight. Pretty much constantly in and around the top 3 and just a lot of pace in that 99 truck. You had a really good pit stop there about mid-race. Couldn't ask for much better of a stop, really. Fast entry, fast exit. Couldn't quite get to the leader towards the end. You were dealing with some lap traffic. How was your night, man?
Yeah, it was good. I gotta say, it's kind of weird how I have. It's funny how I've learned how to have long run pace, because that was a struggle of mine for a long time, and so I've just been learning how to do that, and it's been helping a lot. But yeah, it was. I knew Tristan was the guy to beat. He was on rails, and I felt like if it wasn't for lap traffic, we could have, like the times when lap traffic wasn't a factor and we weren't bottlenecked and the gap was gaining or losing, we were very even on pace. So I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have been able to catch him because he was, even when I was going as fast as I could, it was still too tricky. But yeah, near the end there, I got into some lap traffic. There was the guys battling for the lucky dog, and they were putting each other in the wall and stuff. I wasn't too happy, but I figured there was no way I was going to catch up to Tristan at that point, so I just kind of backed off. I almost got wrecked through that whole thing, but I just kept it backed off, and I'm really happy for Tristan because he really deserves it.
Now, you mentioned that lap traffic and how difficult it was to get around him. What was the passing situation like out there, Philip? I mean, sometimes it seemed like some of these guys were able to make passes pretty easy, relatively. The multi-groove racing really kind of lent its hand towards some aggressive overtakes. And then other times it seemed like you'd get caught in that dirty air behind somebody, and it was like the truck just didn't quite want to rotate, and you couldn't really take those runs anywhere. How would you say the racing was?
Yeah, the racing was still good, even with like the dirty air and stuff. Like early on in the run, I couldn't quite get to Jeff because of that. But yeah, I noticed like on newer tires, like maneuvering through cars making passes on new tires is a lot easier here. You can use either lane. I mainly was doing passes, especially on like lappers and stuff, like on the high side. But I think I did a couple on the low side too. It's just a matter of timing it, getting a run on the from the corner before, then kind of like diving it in and braking, kind of just trail braking and getting up in front. But yeah.
Speaking of the High Line, we're going to Kansas next week there, Philip. Is that a track you're looking forward to?
Oh yeah, both in this and the Thursday night series. I'm very much looking forward to it. Love Kansas.
It's definitely a fun one to race and to watch. Can't wait to see what you guys do and what kind of show you guys can put on. Well, Philip, congratulations on your podium finish. Another great points day. A long list of good points days this season, it seems like.
Yeah.
Is there any shout outs you'd like to make before we let you go?
Obviously nationalninjaleague.com. Check us out. We're in the off season right now, but yeah, check us out. The #1 Ninja Warrior league in the world.
All right. Well, again, congratulations on the podium, Philip, and we'll catch you next week.
Yep, thank you.
All right.
Philip got out of the booth, but back to you, Peter.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it is time to go down to victory lane with tonight's race winner, driver of the number 17 machine. Finished third last week at Rockingham Speedway. Backs it up with victory here tonight at Iowa. Tristan, at the beginning of the race, you fell back a couple of spots. I was a little bit concerned about the pace that the Eclipse Photography F-150 had in it, but it looked like you were just saving your tires. Marched your way to the front right before the first green flag pit stop, and you never looked back from there, leading the most laps here tonight. Really impressive run for you. Talk us through it.
Well, Peter, this race, first of all, I gotta say that I finally got the monkey off my back. It's been a long time coming. I feel like for me to get a race in this league, I run top 10 pretty much every week, so it feels super good to get a win here at Iowa. In the beginning of the race, I had an emphasis on saving tires this week. I told myself no matter what happens, I wasn't going to push. And it ended up paying off. Towards the end of the first run, before we started doing pit stops, I caught Jeff Price, and I could just tell that I had a little bit better tires than he did. And it ended up working out. I pit at the right time, and I made sure after the pit stop not to burn my stuff up, and it worked out.
Extremely impressive run to come home with a margin of victory of just about 4 seconds here tonight. In fact, ended up being more than that at the end, 6 seconds. Very, very impressive for you to notch home a very commanding win here tonight. Looking back, you said you got the monkey off your back, and how long has that monkey been on your back? It's your first time in victory lane here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series.
I think the last time that I actually was super close to winning a race was probably a couple seasons ago at the Roval when I was racing my good friend Mitchell Adams. I ended up spinning out and losing it in the last chicane, and ever since then I've had that monkey on my back. I haven't been able to quite execute on the race plans and the speed and all that stuff, so it feels great.
I think I figured out the monkey, Tristan. I think the monkey on your back is actually Garrett Gleason, because I haven't seen any sight of Garrett here tonight. I think he's the one who's been slowing you down, but just don't let him know I say that. But congratulations on getting the win here tonight. Next week's Kansas Speedway, the 1.5 mile racetrack. What are your thoughts about Kansas?
I'm ready for Kansas. A little bit of a change of pace from feels like the short tracks that we've been running recently, or at least I've been running recently. So nice little change of pace at 1.5 miles. We'll see what happens.
Going to be interesting to see that. And of course, road course after that at Knockhill. I know that you probably have that one circled on the calendar as well, Tristan. Before we let you go, any shout outs you like to give out?
Yes. First, we got to shout out this Eclipse Photography F-150. Had a lot of pace in it tonight in the long run, and with the few cautions, we brought it home. Shout out to my teammates, Philip Scott. We were talking the whole race. Vinny Valvano, Jason Shue, the guys that weren't here, Jason Gracias, and of course, gotta shout out Garrett Gleason. Even though we may have found out that he was the monkey. I think that's all I got. I got NSRA, and then you guys opened the booth. Did great.
I mean, is that a surprise that Garrett Gleason's the monkey? I don't know. I think he's kind of the monkey in one way or another. So I'm not too surprised, Tristan. But nonetheless, congratulations on your win here tonight, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, Pierre.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for our post-race interviews here tonight from the Iowa Speedway. Andre, what a great race. Only one caution flag that came out earlier. I was thinking to myself very early on that we could be in for a long night because the caution number one seemed extremely long. There was quite a few pace laps involved there, but we only had that one all night long.
It was a great, clean race. You love to see that kind of race. And for being a clean race and not having the sort of artificial stacking of the field with those cautions, these guys were still really close. I mean, it's like Philip Scott said in his interview, if it hadn't been for a little bit of lap traffic, even after 150 laps, those guys still were pretty close. I mean, close enough that they were just about going to battle it out without that intervention. And Matt Cherry and Nathan Maurer for third and fourth. I mean, you can see they were only 0.08 of a second apart. Very close field, very clean racing. And I tell you what, I can't wait to see what these guys do at Kansas, because that is going to be some close racing. That is going to be a track where the draft is going to be important. The high line is going to be the place to be. And these guys are not going to be afforded any mistakes. It'll be a lot of fun.
That it will be. Let's go through the final race results. Tristan Maher taking home the win. Philip Scott in second, 6.6 seconds behind. Of course, he mentioned that he backed off there late in the running. Matt Cherry finishing in third. Nathan Maurer, 0.8 of a second behind him in fourth. Julian Tesoro finishing inside the top five in the number 30, 15 seconds back. Adam Newton finishing in sixth. Jordan Scheffler in seventh. Justin White, the last struck on the lead lap. Look at that, folks. We didn't catch that replay, but Jordan Scheffler and Justin White battling it to the line. Only 0.05 of a second separating the seventh place and eighth place finishers. In fact, we might see if we can dial that up on a 3-wide TV replay here in just a second. But Randy Perdue and Jeff Price rounding out our top 10, Andre.
And looking back from the top 10, Ben Mashburn just barely slips outside of the top 10 after running there all night long. David Buell right behind him. Those drivers were battling for pretty much the last 50 laps of the race. Couldn't quite get away from each other. Doug Neal, Adam Dama, 13 and 14. Joseph Meesh and Mikey Williams, 15 and 16. 17th and 18th is going to go to Patrick Morrison and Travis White. Stan Hausman, Vincent Valvano, Jason Shue, and Dalton Hayes going to be in 22nd in that 47 machine. Nick Kessler, with a bit of a troubled night, is going to park it a few laps early, winds up 23rd. Jeremy Richmond winds up 24th, never got back out on track after that incident. Adam Lichty brings it home P25. Martin Plute, after parking it on lap 1, is going to be P26, and that is going to finish out the field. Man, oh man, what a race it was. But I hear you got a replay for us, Peter.
Yeah, just trying to see if we can dial up that run right here between Jordan Scheffler and Justin White coming to the line. The number 13 there, this was, I believe that was the white flag lap. They were just in front of the race leader, just out of the picture. And so this is coming around to the checkered flag. They're still racing for position. Justin White got to the high line of Jordan Scheffler here on the final lap. As they come around the final corner, Justin White, one last lunge to the high line, And look at this, folks, right there. That is the margin between Jordan Shepler and the number 2 of Justin White. Had White had an extra lap or so, it more than likely would have turned out just a little bit different. But definitely a strong showing for these drivers here tonight on 3 Wide TV. Folks, make sure you join us next week, 8:55 Eastern Time. Don't want to give you the wrong time. That would be bad. 8:55 Eastern Time from the Kansas Speedway right here on 3 Wide TV. That is May 13th, 2022. Be there for that one. But for myself, Peter Short, Andre Graham Bush, and all others here in the National Sim Racing Association, we want to give a big shout out to several of our series sponsors. First, want to give out the Simbox Biggest Mover of the Race Award to Adam Newton here tonight in the number 29 Toyota Tundra. So congratulations, Adam, for picking up the Biggest Mover of the Race Award. I want to give a shout out to Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. Link to their Podbean is in the description if you want to listen along. MaxGrafix.co. Go check them out for iRacing custom paint schemes. If you want to purchase one of those, Chris Darling, great artist. Always puts together a great-looking race truck. Brookstone Animal Hospital didn't even get to give out a Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award here tonight. Don't often get to say that. Taz Racing Customs. Check them out, facebook.com/Taz Racing Customs for your custom diecast needs. BeerStreetJournal.com if you want to find out about the latest and greatest craft beer news. BeerStreetJournal.com is the place to go. Sponsor of the BeerStreetJournal.com Last Call here in the NSRA. Eclipse Photography, Simbox. Check them out for your custom button box needs. Facebook.com/SimboxPC. And let Doug Neal, you want a custom button box, he will hook you up. JNR Craftworks got custom artwork that you want to put into some metal art. Check out JNR Craftworks here. Link to their website is in the description, but jnrcraftworks.com if you want to just punch it in to your web browser. But all of us here at 3Y TV are wishing you a good night, stay safe and all that good stuff, and we shall see ya!